More graves on all sides. Israelis and Lebanese are burying their dead. Over 52 Israelis and more than 400 Lebanese have died in the conflict between Israel and Hizbollah. There is no end in sight for the war, which was triggered off by the kidnapping of 2 Israeli soldiers and the killing of 8 more by Hizbollah. Even a ceasefire seems unlikely despite Condoleezza Rice's visit to the region. The US Secretary of State seems to agree with Israel that first of all Hizbollah must be disarmed and that the Lebanese army must deploy its forces along its border with Israel. So why is the Lebanese government so reluctant to deploy its forces in the south and risk a war with Israel, a war which over the past 2 weeks has set the country back by 5 years?
After a very long civil war that torn Lebanon to pieces, probably they didn't want to ignite another civil war. And they felt very comfortable because Beirut on one hand was flourishing and became a very, very rich, beautiful city again. Now it will take long years to rehabilitate Lebanon after the bombardment that Lebanon and especially Beirut suffers. But they were very happy because on one hand they lived in Beirut like as if they lived in Paris, and on the other hand they did not care about what was going in southern Lebanon with those Shiites and the Israelis and Hezbollah.
While the Lebanese Prime Minister accuses Israel of exaggerated and discriminate force against his country, many Lebanese Christians and Muslims admit privately that Hezbollah and its charismatic leader Hassan Nasrallah is keeping their country hostage. The pro-Iranian militia is also backed by Syria, the prime suspect in the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri. Many Lebanese say that the billionaire Hariri would turn in his grave could he see what is happening to Beirut today. Hariri spent much of his money in rebuilding Beirut and gave his life to get the Syrians out of Lebanon and Hezbollah disarmed. Many Lebanese believe that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is trying to use the present crisis to bring his troops back into Lebanon. But the US and Israel have made it very clear that they want the Syrian and Iranian influence in Lebanon diminished.
What we try to achieve in this operation is to decrease the power of Hezbollah as down as possible, to diminish the power of Hezbollah. I'm not sure that we will be able to fade out the Hezbollah and to bring Hezbollah to disappear.
The Lebanese government is now urging the United States and the UN to send international troops to Lebanon to help the army deploy in the south. As part of a ceasefire agreement, Lebanon demands that Israel withdraw from the Sheba farms, which it took in the 1967 war from Syria. Lebanon claims it's its territory. But the UN states that the Israeli withdrawal from South Lebanon in 2000 was complete. Meanwhile, the 2 soldiers kidnapped by Hezbollah and the soldier kidnapped in Gaza by Hamas no longer seem on anybody's top priority list. Israeli officials do not buy the Palestinian claim that Hezbollah also initiated the kidnapping of the soldier in Gaza behind the backs of the Hamas government. The Israelis say the kidnappings are not connected.
No, I don't think that it is coordinated. Firstly, Hamas tried along the years to kidnap soldiers and civilians. And in some cases, Hamas even succeeded. And Hezbollah the same. This is a policy which is typical to terror organizations. And when we focus on Iraq, this is almost the main way of operation. The kidnappings, they kidnap high-ranking officials, foreigners, Iraqis. They demand release of their own people, and if after the ultimatum they do not get what they want, they just slaughter them.